everybody. Welcome to The Right Conversation with Shari Pheasant, where we talk about the hard stuff. I get into the real good things that you really want to hear when you listen into conversations with people. Look, communication isn't the biggest problem on a team. The biggest problem on a team is not having the right conversation soon enough. And the right conversation is really about 5 factors. Talking to the right person about the right thing at the right time, with the right tone and intonation, and with the right intentions. So join me for the right conversations that I have with my guests, and you get to hear all about the hard stuff. You're gonna love this. So let's dig in. I love that. And I think sewing, we see a lot of those big companies that are put together with little villages of women that are sewing or making shoes or doing these things. And we need to start thinking globally. We used to just think, well, our country and imports versus exports and the economic and all of that. I think if we just start opening up and understanding how we can shift and move things around for all of the countries, right? So we're a global family that can really progress.
Yes. I would like to share some pics. I would like to share some pictures with you sometime. But I mean, maybe at the end of this, if you want to see some pictures, I can share it. I'll show you some quick pictures, what we've done so far.
I would love that. I know there's some churches in Reno that have gone to build waterways. So they've gone to dig and build wells in villages.
I do that too.
Water.
Yes.
I know that there's a group of ladies that I've considered actually going with to Africa. It's been an interest of mine that help work with the women there. I'm in the automotive space. There's some automotive shops there. So teaching the business end, you're there. So to help them become their own economic machine versus and being able to sell and move wares in between their own country is going to be lovely for them.
Exactly. Yeah, I do. We just drill water. As a matter of fact, one of this video, you see the water that we just did in June of this year. So that's something that we do also. We also have a clinic that we built here, and we support that. Today I went there to deliver food and medication, reading glasses. All of them are new. I don't give them used glasses. I take a lot of vitamins for the children. Last year I delivered tons of needles to them and syringes, and so we've done a lot. The reason is because when I was a kid in that village, I didn't know what a Band-Aid was, and so now that I know what a Band-Aid is, I take a lot of those things. And I take more than that. And I'm hoping in the next 2-3 years, my daughter hopefully will be able to join me to probably do some surgery with the people. She's going to be a plastic surgeon. And
what did you use when you didn't have a Band-Aid, by the way?
Sherry, you wouldn't believe me if I tell you.
What do you do when you don't have Band-Aid?
Well, let me tell you then. So, Sherry, are you familiar with...
You're not a guy.
Well,
with what?
Are you familiar with what a banana is?
A banana?
You know a banana, right? But you've never seen the tree. Have you ever seen a banana tree?
I have.
Okay, all right. So here in Nigeria, because it's a tropical weather, banana and plantain are everywhere, except I don't have it here in my... you don't see it a lot in the city, I'm in the city, but in the village, it's everywhere. So just tell you a quick story. So when I was a kid, we loved soccer. Soccer was our thing. We're always playing soccer. And so we were playing soccer one day, and back then you just throw broken bottle, trash everywhere, right? On the side, And so we always play soccer.
Clear the field. Clear the field. Oh.
Yeah. So one day we're playing soccer, and slide tackling. My brother slide and tackle somebody. One of those trash they threw away, they happened to be a broken bottle. It slid him right on his thigh. So we didn't have a Band-Aid, and bananas, they always cut the trees, so when they rotten, the inside of it has a mushy stuff inside of it. So somebody back then just say, hey, they put your hand in there, took the stuff, squeeze it, and put it right in there. And Sherry, before you know it, about a week, that thing was all healed up, and and even
Banana
I've read,
tree,
yes,
banana tree
yes,
guts.
yes, the gut, the inside of
I was
it's like
thinking you were telling me
the
something about the leaves, or that you take a banana peel and you put it on, right? And then you wrap it. I was
yeah.
waiting for, oh my
No, they
goodness.
just take the mushy stuff, they put it in, and they wrap it. He got back in the game. That's how we handle stuff. That was what we did. So we didn't have a band-aid. I didn't know what a band-aid is. So right now in my house, I have first aid. I brought so much stuff, and I give out to places like that. So that's just how it works. So nobody
So
has things.
I think it's wonderful that you are in a C-suite, right? You're a chief operating officer of a company, and that company supports what you're doing in Africa, and that you're there for what, a month right now? Is that it? A
Yeah,
month?
I'm
And you
going
go
to be here
3 times a year?
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
I think that, to me, what I see is that shows that Scott's Automotive is really progressive in how they think, right? This is what our people are wanting. Our employees are wanting more flexibility. They wouldn't mind having a remote day at home where they get a few things done. And I feel like leaders aren't sure how to let that happen. They're not sure, right? And I think in automotive space, you can't work on a car unless you're right there with the car. I get it. You can't greet the client unless you're right there. I understand that. There's also other professions where there is an opportunity to be more remote. I think we're learning how to be a little more flexible. And I think that's probably a secret to working right. We're still in early adopter stage of this whole people thing. Right. There were some GITITs, the Fortune 500 companies. They've been using psychometric testing, right? Assessments to understand personality styles, drivers. You happen to be certified in EQ as well. And how
Of
do you
course.
utilize people's knowledge of EQ and their ability to manage through that to help relationships with your employees?
How do I see how
How do you
this?
use your EQ? Like EQ and tell, when
Oh,
you take someone through, you take them through an EQ assessment, you understand what their self
yes.
is, right? What their external control is, those 5, right, aspects of EQ. How do you use that to help? And I'm sorry, I know you were telling us your story about what you do in the Day of Africa, and I love hearing that. I love hearing how you're helping them. You just hit a tone
Yeah,
that made me want to ask you about the EQ.
yeah, that's perfectly great. So Sherry, one thing with the EQ is that most people don't know how to use it properly. And for me, everything that happened is done very calculatively. And with that, understanding people and understanding how your EQ can lead you to be a very successful person, I use that very, very generously and without leaving any stone unturned. So before I do anything, I have to think about it. And Sherry, just to tell you a quick thing is every year we try to come up with what we call the one word. Okay. So one
Okay.
word, what it does is we have a big banner. Everybody within the organization come up with that one word. And so when they come up with that one word, and then we put it up there on the board. So the first time we did this, okay, yeah, one word, so what? Okay, like
What was the first word?
like for example, exactly. So for example, somebody will come up with the word positive, or somebody will come up with the word energetic, just throwing out words. And so the first year I thought about what I want, and I chose it. And what I did with that, when everybody had all those words, I spent the time and I took it. So for example, I take the first 3 people and I combine their words together and make a sentence out of it. And I make a sentence, a positive sentence out of it. But Shari, this year, that one word, because of my EQ, understanding it very well, I said, this year I am really going to make sure that the word that I choose really means something. And so I choose the word think. THINK. And yeah, think.
Okay.
So,
Think.
and so when I chose that word, think,
Mhm.
and I decided I wanted to break down that word and
Mhm.
make sure that, so I told people, so when we had a meeting to talk about that one word, so I told people, I said, one thing that I want you guys to do is when you pick your word, just don't pick a word simply because it just come to you. Make sure it means something to you. So for example, with the word think, something like, for if you pick the K in that word, before I say something to you, Shari, I have to make sure, is it kind? Am I being kind? Is it, is it inspiring? Okay. Do I inspire you, or I'm just going to make you feel terrible? So that thing, every one of those words means something. The N will be, for example, is it necessary? Okay, because it's times that we just want to talk to somebody about what they did because we just want to feel good or take it out of heart. I want to know, is it necessary? Can I just let that go? And
Okay,
is
and
it
I'm writing this
kind?
down.
Which
I've
is
got inspirational,
okay.
necessary, and kind. I have the I have the ink
Yes.
and think. All right, so I'm looking for the TH now, Dr. Dana,
Okay. Let
because I'm going to
me,
make sure our
so
listeners get this, the think, how to look at the word think,
exactly.
right? I think that's awesome. This is a great takeaway for
Yes.
everybody.
So let me bring that out to you
Yeah,
here.
take your time.
So
See, when you said
where's
think to me, that's different than a
um
normal word we pick, right? My word for 2024 is
that's
intentional. Intentional,
okay. Okay.
right? I want to
I'm
be
sure
very
it means something
intentional.
to you.
So
Yes.
tell me,
So
you have your TH?
let me bear with me for a second. So
Absolutely.
looking for it here. I had it all written
I bet you
out.
did. I just think is a different word than you normally hear people have.
Exactly.
And
And
it's intriguing to me. And that you made an acronym that
oh yeah.
stands for something is even better, right? Like
Yeah.
when you think, oh,
Sherry,
you
let
got,
me oh, you stop. I can't share, but anyway, I don't know if you could. So you see my iPad,
oh, there's
I
your
have it.
notes.
If I can't find it, I will send it to you. If that's okay, the entire thing.
Okay.
What?
And well, because the listeners are going to be like, hey, what's the TH stand for? Please know
Okay.
we'll put it in the notes and we'll make sure
Yeah.
there's a download available so
Yep.
that we can let you know what the THINK is for Dr. Dana's think word. I think that's amazing. Think that's amazing that you do that with people
Exactly.
and that they stop to think about what their word of the year is. So you really pull them through development. Here's what I know. It's about acquisition of great talent. Then that doesn't stop there. You've got to retain them. And in order to retain them, you need to develop them. And when I saw you
Exactly.
speak at Ratchet and Wrench, a national conference, a leadership conference, you spoke about emotional intelligence. And, you shared some stories about yourself. And it was very inspiring. I love seeing the industry really grab on to people first strategies. That's my space. I believe we're not having the right conversations, hence the podcast, right? And
Yep.
that's about talking to the right person about the right thing, right? Which we normally don't. We talk about the right thing to the wrong person because we're not talking to the person we need to talk to, right? We do that.
Right.
And then we need to talk at the right time. Is that a good time for the person? Can they receive you, or are they all muddled up and you need to leave them alone for a minute, right? Like there's nothing
Exactly.
worse than trying to solve a problem right in the middle of the problem. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly.
You need to let emotions settle down. It takes approximately 18 to 20 minutes for our adrenaline, right, to level out a little
Yes.
bit. You and I have all those, right? The psychological things we know, most certainly, to be able to then talk to somebody and have them listen to you, right? And then, of course, there's the tone and intention, because I can say the same things in 3 different tones and they come across 5 different ways to 4 different people,
Exactly.
right? And then, of course, there's
Exactly.
intention. Like I'm not talking to you to make you feel bad. I'm talking to you to develop you. There's a difference that a leader would have with how they even approach their intention of a conversation. So
Yes.
I think those are pretty hard. What are you finding? What are you seeing out there? Are you currently teaching classes at the
Yes.
Mesa, Colorado? What
Oh,
classes do you
yes.
teach?
I teach business law, I teach operations management, and I teach e-commerce.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. You said business
So
law,
business law,
operations management, or did you operations?
operations
Operations
management,
management
and e-commerce.
and
E-commerce,
e-commerce.
yes, electronic commerce.
See, I love the business sense about you and that you bring the people first in that. What a great example you are to so many people of how, right? Because I believe that, look, a business's number one job is to make money. That's what it is.
Exactly.
If it wasn't
Yeah,
making money, there wouldn't be a business and you'd be working somewhere else. So let's
that's
just be
right.
real, right? Is it has
That's
to make money. And in order to make money, you've got to get through all of these other KPIs, right? And
yes.
matching and meeting and doing those things. So it's really a complicated process, but I think we've lost sight of that. We make money through people's happiness. When they come to work happy and thriving and ready to take action, we just have better teams. Yes.
That's that's right. That's perfectly correct. Every day, I wake up, whether it's here in Africa or whether it's there in the US, I wake up most of the time 3:30, 4:30. You know, as soon as I get up and dance, Shari, I'm dancing. My wife is like, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Well, because I'm married to you. And beside that, I'm from Africa, you know, and I am blessed. And I mean, Shari, I have a place here that, you know, I feel at home. If you walk inside this house here, you would not remember where you are until you go outside, and then you're like, oh, it's very hot. We must be in Africa. Outside that, you know, I try to be happy every day because that's what makes you go further. And that's why, you know, the times I was talking to some people the other day, I said, you know what? In my job so far, there are times that when you work with people as a person, as a manager, as a director, or whatever you want to call it, you walk into that office, everybody's like fidgeting, you know, and they're worried. But when I walk into my place, everybody's happy because I'm there,
Mm.
because I give them just that calm, you know. Yes, you made a
Mhm.
mistake. That's fine.
The
Let's fix it.
energy.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I tell people all the time, you know, we're like parents. Children watch you on everything we do. Our employees are our children. They watch what we do. And when I started with this organization, everybody was swearing like a sailor. And then all of a sudden, without me saying any word, 1 year, they decided to do what they call a sway jar. That job came to help my organization. You know,
Oh,
every time you swear that money, you put the money in there. Um, Never for once tell people don't swear, but it was just the way I carry myself, and people
mhm.
all
Good example.
understand
Well,
exactly.
and you know, Dr. Dana, you used a strategy very uniquely there, and that is getting people involved in something bigger than themselves, right? When we're
Exactly.
just a team grinding it every day, we get the water cooler whining, I call it, right? Like, why do they do that? Why can't they do that? What's going on with that? Yet when you
Yeah.
bring them together, so I have had the opportunity, I'm in a past president role, but I've been the president of a Napa Business Development Group for 7 years. And
Okay.
it's a unique animal that they would like to make work better, right? Because you've got owners of shops from the same city, not different cities
Mm-hmm.
now, but the same city, learning to work
Mm-hmm.
together. And it was
Yes.
difficult. There were some trust issues. So we really had to, I had to sneakily, yet openly, push them through some of those things and get them as leaders to work together to sustain the
Okay.
group because it is better for all of us. So I think as leaders, there has to be some sacrifice and some risk taking, stepping outside of what you're normally comfortable doing as a leader, because what you learned yesterday is not working today. And what
Exactly.
got you to where you are today is not going to get to you where you are tomorrow. And
Exactly.
so I'm, in this podcast, talking to leaders like yourself, I hope that it influences other leaders to stop and think about how they lead And we have to lead more authentically and transparently. And that only happens when you psychometrically understand who you are. Like I had to know I was a bulldozer, right?
Yeah.
My earthly upbringing was I wasn't enough. And so here I'm, I look at those A personalities totally different now. They're not just someone who can't wait to get something done. There's something inside of them going on that we may
Exactly.
need to fix for them. Why do you think they're dropping off with heart attacks all the time? Right. So
That's right.
I love that. So you really got your team involved in something bigger than themselves. You help them to focus on something globally by giving to your organization that's in Africa. I think that's beautiful. You are just an amazing human being. I'm really blessed to have met you, and I hope our relationship continues. I think that we're out for the same thing, changing the world through people first strategies.
Exactly. Exactly. Our relationship will continue, so I don't have any doubts. So we will continue. So
Right.
I'm looking forward to having more conversation with you.
Well, I would love to have more conversations with you. And I've got to ask you. So I love to give the listeners just one thing because look, we can't handle it all. We typically want to handle just one thing. So I want you to think about that. But
Yeah.
I want to talk right now really about, before we get into that, what is
Yes.
one of the lessons that you would like the audience, that you would like to share? One of the things based on your experience that if you, not, this isn't your just one thing, that's coming. So don't use your just one thing. But I like to provide a
Okay.
lot of value in these. Tell me something like a lesson that you want to share that you believe the listeners and viewers could really find valuable to them in today's world.
One thing that I think that listeners should learn or understand is don't give up. Shari, there's so many times in life we say, oh, he made me angry. She made me angry. Sherry, nobody makes us
Thank you.
angry. We
Yeah.
make ourselves angry. Do not use that excuse. Do not allow anybody to make you angry. And so keep on pushing. I'm sure, Sherry, you've seen it. I'm sure that our listeners probably have seen it too, where somebody's digging the hole, digging maybe like a tunnel to get to the other side. They did not only if they had known that they are just about to break the last portion of it when they quit
When they give
and
up.
they walk back, rejected, they're going back with their head down.
Mhm.
Never give up.
Yeah,
That's
most
one.
success doesn't come easy, right? You have to, right?
Exactly.
We learn, let's go back to the beginning of our conversation. You learn more from your mistakes. Why aren't we embracing those? Right.
Yep.
And like you do
Exactly.
with your employees, you use them as a learning moment. So what I hear here is don't give up. That when you work together to find the good, you can, right, you can alleviate the things that aren't working because you're focusing on the right things. You're not focusing on what's wrong and bad. You're focusing on what's good and how do we use that to fix the other. Yes?
Exactly. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
correct. We
And,
always have to focus on the good things.
well, and you're a great example of, look, it's never enough. Keep going. If
Yeah.
there's things you want to do, just keep doing them, right? There's
Exactly.
absolutely no reason why we just can't keep going and not give up. I think that's really important. Is there something that you almost gave up on that and you didn't and it worked for you?
Many, many times, many times, Shari, for example, like when I was in school, I mean, that's another story. We can talk about that another time. But when I first went to US and I got there, went to school and came back. I took my mom was there for a visit. We both went together and I started school. Shari, I came back crying like a baby. I told my mother, I said, I do not know what these people are talking about. I did not understand the American slang. I didn't understand. I was taking English as a second language, and everybody's just making all this slang, making these jokes, and they're laughing. I had no clue. Came back, I told my mom, I said, I am going back with you. And my mom said to me, sit down, let me talk to you. She started going back in, telling me about the suffering here, like what I'm experiencing right now with people we're trying to help. This is what is going to happen. Are you going back to that? Is this what you want to do? But you can struggle through this. And Shari, that first semester, after I went through that English as a second language, I was on the dean's list. The next semester, I was on the vice president's list. And of course, the sky was the limit. So yes,
What a
there
great
may,
lesson.
and
Listen to
I
your
always,
mom. No, I'm sorry. Don't, when it's difficult, don't give up. Keep trying. Listen to your mom. Oh,
that's right.
right? Because
Yes,
you really
listen
can
to your
make
mom.
things happen. I think
Yes.
that's awesome. So in your company, do you know what your turnover rate is, by the way? Do you clock that at all? Do you keep track of that?
Actually, I do, but honestly, I haven't looked at it recently, but I
Mhm.
do know that it's very low.
Okay.
It's very low because of how we deal with people.
Yeah.
We're trying to really be,
Because you got 70 or 80 people, right? There's 70 or
we
80 people.
have over 100.
Oh,
We, yeah,
wow. Big
we
shots.
have over 100, yes. And
Fantastic.
like I said in the beginning, my thing for people is to be a good finder. So we're finding good in people, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be run over by people. We still have control, but we have to be good finders in order to make good leaders and good employees.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think your mindset speaks to why you just recently got a great promotion within the company. Right? You are doing fabulous. And it is about focusing on the people. And everything else comes along with that. Absolutely. Well, I know everybody's been waiting for it. And that's kind of by design. What is your just one thing that you want to give to the listeners today?
One thing that I want to give to listeners today is that if you continue to be determined in life and put other people first, for me, it's very, very important. I want to put other people first without making myself the center of attention. Everything else is going to fall in place. I've seen it happen over and over and over. For example, somebody did something wrong. Instead of just pointing out blank, such and such messed up again, we just want to say, it in a very way, with a very tactful way of honoring people without, making them feel, oh, I just messed up again. And so do not try to do something so that you will look good and make other people bad. So I want people to really take that. For me, it's very, very important. Don't do something to promote yourself in the expense of other people. Okay, don't promote yourself in the expense of other people. Make
Oh
sure
my
you
gosh.
treat people with dignity and respect.
Oh,
That's one thing I want people to take away.
everybody that's here, let's take that to heart because that's so counterintuitive. I think that in our society and in the workforce, we tend to want to show up, right? And so we want to talk about what we can do and what we know how to do. And potentially, I think there's some people out there thinking, well, I don't promote myself to put anybody else down. I want to challenge that because I think sometimes we don't realize that's what's really happening when we are promoting ourselves, is that we
That's right.
are putting others down, right? In order to do that. And I think that that is an excellent just one thing for our leaders today. Dr. Dana, you have laid out some amazing insights for us. Thank you, all the way from Nigeria today. And I know you'll be back in the US soon. I'm so happy that you come here and we have you here to help us with the workforce. You are an amazing man. If ladies and gentlemen, if you see him at a conference and he's speaking, please go. If you have a conference that you need a speaker that's going to inspire your audience, please think of Dr. Dana. He is amazing. And I think he can help your organization. So thanks for listening today, everybody. Dr. Dana, what time is it there?
Right now, Sherry, is 8:26 p.m. in Nigeria.
and I'm at 11:26 in Nevada time. So I want you to know that we can connect all over the world at different times, and we can still have an amazing connection. Dr. Dana, thank you very much for being on the podcast today. And everyone, stay tuned next time for the right conversation with Shari. Thanks for joining me for that conversation. My goal is to change the world one conversation at a time. I hope you'll join me for other podcast guests while we talk about the hard stuff and really dig in. If you love what you hear, like, share, and repost so we can grow this podcast. I hope to see you on the inside.